So an introduction for our first quarter. Ani Kinawaya, welcome to the Education Department Quarterly Report. So in a short amount of time, the Education Department has accomplished an inordinate amount within the education programs for our community of Chiging First Nation. So starting with March, the Education Department continued to meet the unique challenges presented by the global pandemic, such as school closures, adjusting to online learning, which presented a new reality for both staff, families, and our community who depend on us to continue to work and support our students. In April, we continued to focus on projects and partnerships that benefit our membership in all areas of education, early learning to post-secondary. May and June, the staff, community, and students reflected on the hard work, efforts, and accomplishments. We dealt with crisis, chaos, and of course, COVID-19. Our funders continue to support and encourage to allow for growth and movement in the department. So moving forward to our second quarter, which I'll talk about a little bit more towards the end, we'll continue to foster a positive and progressive workplace with well-trained staff and readiness for future needs. We plan to keep growing with the needs of our students, community, and prioritize student success. So looking at our work plan. So administration, as you know, supports services, and we have 24 departments under the umbrella of education. So from April to June, we collaborated with staff. We had weekly meetings with principal, office manager, daycare supervisor, and high school navigator. These meetings were a check-in to get updates and also just to build relationships. And we also build relationships with other departments, such as the health center, capital works manager, finance manager, OW, just so we can see how we can support one another. Also, if you look at hiring. So hiring, as you know, has been ongoing and it continued for the month of April all the way to June. We continue to recruit. So we're looking at recruiting in early years all the way to post-secondary, and again, that continues. We completed the 2018-2019 and the 2019-2020 post-secondary reports, so they're all up to date and compliant with ISC. We have ongoing review of the there's an ongoing review of the education budget and spending, especially as I'm learning about budgeting and that piece. So that's a really important piece that I've been working on. Reviewing staffing and student needs. Again, that's ongoing. Data collection, looking at long-range plans, DRA, inventory, performance appraisals, credit attainment at the high school level. And next steps in this area is to create a list for the summer to ensure school year's opening is successful, and again, focusing on student success. And again, keeping in mind the student needs, looking at their IEPs, course selections, planning on types of support needs, and etc. So that's kind of looking at the scope of education as a whole. So looking specifically at building capacity with and for educational programming, starting with the budget. So working on the budget again and understanding key elements for reporting. Seeking funding, so looking at funding. So we continue to seek funding through proposals. We're looking at ongoing youth life promotion funding as well. It's been approved and the report has been submitted. We continue to work in partnership again with the Health Center for summer programming, Rainbow District School Board for graduation and next year's planning, ISC for the micro hatchery, formerly that was with Corda, so this past school year was with ISC. We had TutorMate, which was an early interventionist reading tutoring program that was online for our 5 to 6 year olds. And again, working with IT to get school updated, organized to meet the needs of all the students. Next steps in this area, just seeking more assistive technology for special needs students, working with Rainbow District School Board, partnering for training, for empowerment, literacy, and possibly for math as well. So to keep the community informed with updates, continue to work with Colin to provide updates for community ongoing. We've been doing brainstorming and looking for other ways to reach parents, guardians, and community, keeping in mind that we're still in the pandemic and we can't really bring them into the school. Also looking at starting the vaccination started for 12 years and up. We're currently working on policy and supplementary policy for education, specifically for Lakeview school staff. We again continue to work with community members, looking at the different platforms like the newsletter, websites, such as the daycare site, Lakeview School, Chigging, and social media with Facebook. So far on the committee, so the advisory committee, so to date we have Martin DeBosque, we have Henry Panamick, designate Tiffany DeBosque, Whitney Anose, and we're still recruiting for our youth and elder to make that committee complete. And next step for that would be to start setting meetings for September. Eagles Nest and the health center staff, Tanika was seeking referrals, but currently she was in the school for the month of mainly June, just to kind of be a presence and to assist with the de-escalation of student behaviors if and when needed. And the next step for that is to continue the partnership with the health center and getting Tanika in the school next year and explore more opportunities for land-based learning. Health and safety. So again, we maintained the health and safety standards. We had a graduation drive-through for the grade 8s. There was a tour with MSS for grade 12 grads. There was planning done with post-pandemic. So looking at questions like what does that look like, staff, students, community, looking at the levels of activation, which is our living document that we change as we go and submit to EOG. So professional development, so to provide relevant professional development for each area in education. So during April to June, the daycare, they had a staff retreat. They had PD on lateral violence, outdoor play, which is land-based. They also started doing some workshops online with Prior. Lakeview School, they had PD on reporting, special education. They did some team building activities and reviewed their school improvement goals to start planning for next year. The high school, we supported and provided extra support at the band office. Our high school navigator came in and worked with students. So we had, I think, approximately 4 or 5 students there at a time, and it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. We also had a staff appreciation luncheon. So it was a tough year for everyone. So we had a luncheon, provided some small gifts just to keep up with morale and provide that positive, and was also part of that relationship building, which is necessary when you're working with a lot of people. Again, for post-secondary, we didn't have any specific professional development as there is ongoing recruitment to fill that position. But we are looking at training with the new data management system once that recruitment is complete. Next steps, looking to September, we have trauma-informed training, lateral violence, team building, looking at data van, training for all staff, and we continue to look for other opportunities for our staff, and that's ongoing for that. So understanding the importance of language and culture for Indigenous students and community. So for our community, a lot was with second level services in regards to language and culture in our system. So as you know, we had the transfer of funding agreement to Chigging, programming for student support to finish off the year strong. So on staff, we had 6 fluent Anishinaabe speakers on staff. There was discussion with teachers to ensure that Anishinaabe is embedded in their everyday lessons, especially for the upcoming year, that's going to be a focus. and staff are eager to start learning and practicing again. They noted that they really missed learning the language and having some of those formal opportunities to learn and practice together. So again, next steps, planning to increase levels of staff and students, data collection, assessment for language, so looking at that assessment. Again, post-COVID planning and bringing land-based activities back, increase elders and knowledge and keepers in the school. Again, that will all depend on our COVID planning. And just noting on funding, reporting, and compliance for innovation report to ISC, where we are in compliance with them. So financial summary, so far, first quarter, we are on track, and just areas that I'm looking at as I'm learning more about the budget and making sure that we are on track and planning, looking at policies, regulation, keeping track of progress and the requirements for reporting, but also again looking at just the final budget and that whole process as a whole. So that's more for me rather than you. So, and to end my quarterly report, here's a view of our amazing Lakeview School graduates. So yeah, I'm sure you all know these students. I'm just going to take mine off here. I don't know if you can see them all. Okay, and we have our high school graduates. So at MSS, so we had Darcy DeBosque, who is also the valedictorian for MSS, so I thought I'd just note that. We had Natasha Boning, Kelsey DeBosque, Kira Bayer, Noah Hare, Harmony Kaiser Fox, Shade Kaiser, Andrew Roy, Nyron Panamick Hare, and JJ Panamick. So potential graduates, and I say potential post-secondary graduates because we still have not received all of the information to confirm all of these to make it official. So you can see that we have 22 students here. Kristen Abel, Hope Ace, Brooke Addison, Lisa Bitran, Cassandra Bisson, Renee Corbier, Victoria Corbier, Warren Corbier, Debbie DeBosque, Sage, Jacqueline, Shayla, Sarah Jamez. Some of these names I'm not sure how to say their last name. Jamie Lee, Bryce Mack, Skylar Park, Tara Paul, Zachary Paul, Stephanie Roy, Rain Ryan, Nia Sanders, and Rachel Wepler. And just to let you know that one of our graduates here, Tara Paul, she's also going to be working at the school this coming school year. And I'm just telling you that because, yeah, anyways, here we go. So again, miigwech, bon appetit, thank you for listening to me, and I will take questions if you have any questions.